Chloe shows her ring with a red ruby. Pete and Clark purchase also similar rings. Lana gives a new student the tour around the school. Jesse's attracted to Clark. When Clark puts on the ring, we see that it affects him somehow and his eyes go red. When Pete asks him if he's alright, he says he feels great. Mr. Gibbons says that there's a dress code at school. When she says that it's lame, Clark laughs. As she's taken to his office, Clark says she's hot and his dress code sucks. He tells him to leave her alone. The man then lets her off for today. Pete's surprised and Clark's in a good mood. A marshal questions the guy in the tub about Jesse and her father. They're fugitives. The guy doesn't know where they are. He then pulls a gun on him. The guy then says they're somewhere in Kansas. The man then throws his audio player in the bath and the guy's electrocuted. Clark flirts with Jesse. She writes her number on his hand. He's then flirty with Lana as well. Jonathan's working on his new bike. Clark arrives late and Jonathan's not happy because he bought an expensive ring. Clark believes it's his choice to do with his money as he likes. At the mansion there are some renovations going on. Lionel wants to make some changes but Lex isn't happy. The marshal's trying out different numbers. He shows the photo of Jesse and questions the barman. He tells him to call if he sees her again there. As the kids are studying, Clark asks Lana to have some fun with him. She's flattered but says they have to study. He asks them if they want to go to the bar but they insist on studying. He then decides to leave. The credit card company informs Jonathan that charges have been made on their card last night. They then hear some rock music. Outside they see a new satellite dish. We see the barn full of new tools and electronics. Clark's playing a game and loud music in the background. They ask him where he got all the stuff from. He says Metropolis. His parents are mad but he's acting careless. When Jonathan tells him to take it all back, he laughs and jumps out, puts on his glasses and drives out with the motorbike. Jesse's dad says she cannot dress like that to school. They can't attract any attention. Clark stops and takes her for a ride but the dad is upset. Clark arrives at school and everyone's staring. His friends are surprised. He then tries flirting again with Lana but she doesn't understand this new behavior. Jonathan arrives and tells him he wants a word. When Jonathan grabs him, Clark says he's not his father and then pushes him away into the car. As Jonathan's hurt, Pete goes up to him, but Clark doesn't really care. As Martha's treating him, he says that Clark's like a different person. They don't understand this drastic change. Jonathan's sad about what he said and doesn't believe any talking will help. Martha wants Pete to talk to him. Clark tells Lana that he has feelings for her and she for him as well. He then suddenly kisses her. He wants to be with her. Chloe's looking at the colored meteor stone. Pete says something is wrong with Clark. His parents think he's on drugs. She then tells him about the red meteor stones. Pete shows the stone to Clark's parents and believes the red meteor stone affected him after he put on the ring. Martha says it must affect him emotionally. Clark visits Lex. He has a new expensive coat on and wants to borrow the Ferrari for his new date. Lex says it's expensive and difficult to handle. Clark says it's not that he's going to drive it off the bridge. He brings Lana to a busy bar. She's not comfortable there. As some two dudes are checking her out, he confronts them. He wants a beer but she wants to leave. But we see that Jesse's also there and he then decides to dance with her. The barman recognizes her. As they're about to kiss, Lana's leaving. He tells her to get some drinks. She's mad and when she wants to leave, he grabs her arm. The two dudes come up, but he then throws them away. The barman grabs a bat which Clark then fires at with his heat vision. It goes up in flames. As the man tries to punch him, he's easily taken out. The dude then strikes with a chair, but he also goes flying. Clark challenges anyone and then leaves with Jesse. As Clark's packing his bag, his parents have been worried, but he doesn't want to waste his life on the farm. They tell him that the red stone is affecting his mind, but he actually likes it this way. He says that he can make millions with his abilities. They just used him at the farm like an equipment and then drives off. He tells Lex he wants to keep the Ferrari longer until he settles down and then tells him that he left home and has a new girl. When he tells Lex that he can do remarkable things, Lex wants to join him. He tells him to wait for him. Lana and Chloe talk about Clark's odd behavior. We then see the US Marshal at the town. He has found an address. As Jonathan and Pete plan something, Lex arrives and is concerned about Clark. When Lionel enters, Clark takes off his glasses and evades his swing. He tells Lionel that no one wants him there and he should leave. After realizing it's the son of the Kents, Lionel's disappointed that he has such an aggressive attitude. The Marshal comes in and says that Clark was seen at the scene leaving with the Ferrari. He asks about Jessie but Clark denies knowing her. He then pulls a gun. Clark's not afraid and takes away his gun. He tells him that he has no idea who he's dealing with and then shoots at his hand. As he drops the bullet, the men run off. Clark blocks the man with the pool table and asks him why he's looking for Jessie. He says he's looking for her father as he's a corporate whistleblower. He has been offered $1 million if he gets the evidence from Jessie's dad, which is a computer disk. Clark then smacks him on his head. Clark enters Jessie's house and says they're not going anywhere until he gets the disk for the money. She says her dad will be dead if she gives it to him. The Marshal's there as well. When Clark warns him, he says that Clark needs him as he knows the players. He's then suddenly shot by Jessie's dad. He tells Clark to get out if he doesn't want to get hurt. Clark says he doesn't listen to anyone and takes away his gun. As he looks around for the discs, Jessie runs out with her bag. Clark then chokes the man. He says he won't find the discs. He then realizes that Jessie has them. As she's running in the field, he bumps into Clark. He takes away from her and says he never knew how easy it was to get everything he wanted. Pete suddenly arrives because Lionel heard them mention Jessie. He tells her to run. Clark says that no one can get away from him. Jonathan also arrives with a hammer. Clark says they were always afraid of him, but Jonathan says they only had love for him. Jonathan tells Pete to go ahead, and we see that he has a green meteor stone with him. Clark gets affected and then drops down. As Jonathan swings his hammer, Clark wants to punch it, but the red stone shatters into pieces. Clark then regains his senses. At the mansion, Lex says he has put back the office the way it was. When he lost his hair after the meteor incident, his dad told him to stop feeling sorry for himself and move on. He now tells Lionel that he should stop acting like his blindness gives him an excuse for self-pity. Lex doesn't want to indulge him like a child anymore. He says he should leave if he doesn't like things around here. Lionel says that it seems he learned directness from his friend Clark. He says he's an interesting young man as he holds the bullets. Clark says he didn't mean the things he said. Jonathan says that the red rock might have changed his personality, but those feelings came from somewhere. He never knew that it bothered Clark that much that they don't have as much as Lex does. Clark says that maybe it does sometimes, but he then remembers what's really important, and that none of that stuff matters anymore. This makes him happy. He then mentions that when he put on the ring, he felt the urge to tell the whole world about his secret. He says he feels like he has two identities and doesn't know which one he is. Martha says the real one is the one that came back to them. They never doubted him. Clark then visits Lana with flowers and apologizes to her. He wants to be friends again, but she's not happy, but he says it wasn't him. She says even the part where he had feelings for her, when he doesn't know what to answer, she says it either was him or it wasn't, but he can't explain it. She replies, the story of your life. When he says he's sorry, she says it's not enough anymore. She then rides off with her horse.